around in both paid and organic search. And over the past 10 years, we've grown from a team of about 5 to 150. So we've went from just 2 people having specializations in 2 fields to 150 employees who are each specialized in what they do. Ben, you want to give a quick background on Postal?
Yeah, we are something really interesting about this picture. So we're based in San Luis Obispo, and we are about a year old. And I was in the office when I'm actually based in Chicago, but I was in the office when the picture was taken, and I'd run across the street to get lunch for about 10 minutes. And of course, during that 10-minute time period, they took the team picture. So I don't know, I'll have to superimpose myself in there. But we are a experience marketing platform. We're based in San Luis Obispo. We've been around for about a year, and it's been a crazy year, as you all know. We've grown a ton, and it's a lot of ups and downs and a lot of excitement. So excited to tell you all about it.
Cool. So we've been partnered with Postal now for about 6 months, and we thought it was kind of the perfect match between the 2 platforms because we're obviously a marketing agency and we help clients attract new visitors. Postal helps, well, they do a lot of things, but today we're going to be focusing more on how Postal can help push people down the funnel, maybe close some of those gaps in the marketing funnel you currently have. So it's something that we think works really well with a lot of the things that we do. Also, that's why we're talking here today together. So first, I'm going to give some background on kind of where we are with search, and then I will talk about what we can do based on kind of what we're seeing here so far, and then a quick case study on how Postal could affect your business. And then I'll pass it over to Ben to go over basically his part. So first thing, this is not by any means a COVID-related marketing webinar. There's probably been hundreds that you've heard or seen about in 2020 or 2019. But this is what we all have been experiencing. There was a pretty major event in March that affected a lot of people, businesses, the entire world. So there was obviously a big slowdown when it came to buying power or just any sort of decision making. But in the past 8 months, kind of since that major event, what we're doing now, this kind of virtual communication has become pretty much regularized, and more people are focusing and turning toward digital more so than ever before. So that's just one thing I wanted to paint the picture for before I went any further. So in the past year, media consumption has changed a little bit. You can see a 7-day time graph from Monday through Sunday about basically where people are spending their time. So you can see, roughly right around 30 to 40% of people's time is spent on digital. So that's a place where we can obviously help getting your name or business out there where they're spending most of their time. However, the most interesting thing that I saw when I was preparing this presentation is while a majority of the time is spent consuming digital media, it's not necessarily where most of the advertising dollars are being spent. So I think this is a pretty good opportunity as to saying, hey, right now there is still a marketing arbitrage between where people are spending time and where people are spending money. So we would love to help you kind of get with where everyone else is spending their time and find some creative ways to help there. For those of you who are familiar with digital marketing and kind of paid search in general, you know that it's expensive. It's only going to get more expensive, which we'll talk about shortly. You can see how things changed from beginning of the year to the end of the year. This is for a sample of about 100 clients that we have here at SmartSites. And of course, there's some seasonality, maybe more active searching at the end of the year, November, December, for like holiday shopping. But you can see naturally just over the past 12 months, the cost per click is on the rise, and some of you guys might be feeling yourself just as marketing or marketers yourself. And with all of that, you can see where eMarketer thinks digital spending is going to be going in the next
or the appraisal contingency has been waived or removed, then
I'll mute Lisa.
To appraise at the purchase.
There you go.
Yep, sorry about that. Here you can see basically where people think spending is going to be going. There was a slight downshift in March. People thought things were going to change, but actually when they reevaluated this number towards the end of the year, they see digital spending just on the rise. So it's a place where we should be considering. And as more people enter the digital space, again, things are going to get more competitive, more expensive. So we want to explain ways you can, of course, optimize your marketing and your search, but find more creative ways to get more qualified leads for the same amount of money. So here we'll be jumping into basically ways we can hopefully save you money on your advertising or your close rate in general. So what can we do? One, a simple statement, more so focused on kind of B2B type relationships. Use a CRM, and CRMs are important to really track every person that you have from the day they visit your website to the day they actually fill out a form and become a sale. And without that sort of data at your disposal, it's really difficult to know kind of what challenges you're currently facing on the marketing or sales team. I'd also recommend you define your funnel. So this is another place where you can say, hey, I noticed that a lot of leads are lost from point A to point B or point B to point C. And that's where we can use things like Postal, which I'll get into in just a little bit, to close those gaps, like I mentioned before. Also know your costs. So I showed you before kind of what some of the average costs per click are. Obviously, that was just one sampling of 100 businesses. Your industry or your business might be different than anything else. So try and understand exactly what your cost per click might be in your space. And I'll just think of this number for a second while we look at this funnel. So if we're talking about paid search, let's use X as, just for easy math, $1 per click. We know in some cases it might take 50 clicks to get one lead. And as you go further down the funnel, you're basically taking that that first initial number and multiplying it by 150 to get that customer. So if we're able to identify that this area is where you get a lot of drop-offs, or this area is maybe the most expensive jump from point to point, we can use additional tools and get creative to either reduce those costs or just make sure that they go down the funnel as smoothly as possible without any sort of leaks. So leaky funnels, I think, are a big part of any business. No matter what intentions you have as a sales or marketing team, leads do slip out of the cracks. And that's why having that CRM and that funnel purely really defined and trackable is so important. So what do we want to do? We want to stop the leaks. We want to find ways and areas where we can say, hey, we know that people get to this initial contract phase and then they drop off, or they get to the lead phase, but we can never book a meeting with them. Let's find ways to get those people pushed down the funnel. Let's stop the leak. So how are we going to do that? Today, we're going to talk about using Postal to fill those gaps, to close those holes, and I'll explain why. So here's a quick use case of how Postal could be helpful. Here's a client they work with in the HR space. Right now, we're managing paid search for them. Their industry is super expensive. So we're not talking $1, $2 per click. We're talking roughly $30 per click. And even at a 10% conversion rate, that means one lead costs them $300, which is obviously very expensive. And at a 20% qualification rate, it costs them $1,500 just to get someone on the phone to present a demo. And at that point, they close 15% of those people. So when you do the math, that means $10,000 per new customer acquisition. For them, that math is fine because the customer lifetime value for their business is right around $30,000. But it's still a very expensive cost per acquisition. Any areas that they can use to close that would be really helpful. So that's where Postal comes in. So here's that math I showed you before. If we were to add Postal, which in this case, it's a $30 gift, it's a box of chocolates, their close rate goes from 15% to 16%. And this is just being very, very light on the estimations. So here, your customer acquisition cost drops from $10,000 to $9,500. So by spending an extra $30, you're basically saving over $400. So if you have a specific use case in mind, me or Ben would be happy to help you say, hey, this is what you're currently spending. We think by implementing this initiative, you can save X amount of dollars in your overall cost. But here's just one quick example of how Postal could help reduce your customer acquisition costs and close some of those gaps like I mentioned before. Cool. So Ben, while you load up, here's obviously a sample of his quick demo. We'll do a Q&A at the end, but I'll pass the keys over to Ben. Let me stop the sharing on my end.
Thanks, Matthew. I'm going to share on my end. Give me a second here and I'll be all set. All right. Of course, the Zoom bar is exactly where I need to click to present. There we go. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Terrific. So thanks for that, Matthew. I love seeing companies really kind of getting a firm understanding of ROI. Obviously, it's hugely important, and a shocking amount of companies just don't have a firm grasp on it. And I say that as we're kind of getting a firm grasp internally on our top of the funnel activity. So we call ourselves an experience marketing platform, but for all intents and purposes, we're going to talk about the gifting part of the site today. We provide really unique tooling and automation to be able to send gifts and direct mail to prospects. I would say that our major use cases are one, companies using our site typically in sales and marketing to endear themselves to prospects. So to help them either set up a meeting or close a prospect and turn them into a client. The second use case is sales, marketing, and success using Postal to renew current clients, current accounts, or upsell current accounts. And the third use case, which has become super popular over the last 9 months, and was initially a secondary use case, but has become a primary one for us, is the whole concept of employee to employee sending, whether that's HR sending a swag pack to new hires, or just the company trying to keep their current employees engaged and compelled in what they're doing by sending them something interesting every month. We have a lot of companies that use our site to do that. But I'm going to spend most of the time today talking about prospects. Let me talk about ROI and use cases. Demand gen. We have a lot of companies that concentrate only on the top of the funnel when using Postal. They will send gift cards potentially to prospects, and they'll do it in a really kind of intelligent way. We have the ability to send a charitable gift card to prospects, so that the prospect can take the $5, $10, $15, $25, $50 gift card and then spend it on the charity of their choice. We work with a partner that allows you to choose from 1.8 million charities. So you can get hyper local as a recipient if you're sent a charitable gift card, and people kind of value that in a different way than they might, just a gift card to a store. But we see a lot of companies using Starbucks as well. A lot of companies are smart about how they position the gift cards, and they'll send, I see our friends at DoorDash are on this call, but sending a DoorDash gift card with a note of, asking them to get lunch when they're supposed to meet, so that they're well nourished at the meeting time. So companies are really creative about it. And then, there are also ways through our site to be able to send more customized or personalized gift options that include the target's name on it, or that includes the target's logo on it, or there's something that's kind of near and dear to their heart. So we see companies getting really creative about how they do that, and it does create additional engagement. And to Matthew's point, if you are increasing your conversions by 1%, it pays for itself. So on the sales engagement side, it really does, we talk about closing deals, but it really does shorten the sales cycle. Again, if you're smart about what you're sending, the likelihood of someone spending 15 to 30 minutes with you increases exponentially. And if you are strategic about who you're targeting, you can send something that's really important to them, and they're far more likely to have an appointment with you or schedule an appointment with you. we see a lot of companies using this at different kind of stages within the funnel. So, I've been talking primarily about using gifting in the platform to schedule an appointment, or using it to schedule time or get an appointment with a prospect. But we see a lot of companies using it a little bit further down in the funnel. Maybe it's to get to the point where they're really close to closing the deal, and this is something that they use to kind of push them over the edge. Something that I mentioned earlier, we also have integrations with CRMs and sales engagement tools. So we partner with Outreach and with SalesLoft. And a lot of our clients are using us in conjunction with SalesLoft or Outreach. And they're adding us to either your cadence or your sequence with those sites, so that in addition to sending emails and calling and scheduling or setting up a LinkedIn invite or a LinkedIn message, you can now include a tangible item that gets added to those cadences or sequences, and it has a really distinct impact. I talked about this use case, the People Apps use case, just ads as a nice touch as a company. If you're sending a gift to your employees, even if it's something small. We have a company currently that sends a different item every month, and the items are typically between $10 and $20. One month they sent their employees just a nice box of cookies with their names on each of the different boxes. The next month they sent flowers. The next month they sent a coloring book and crayons for a team activity. We see a lot of companies that will send items with the idea of scheduling a virtual event. So maybe they'll do a wine tasting and they'll send bottles of wine to either their employees or their targets. And then we talk about customer experience. I've covered most of these use cases, and you get an idea of what they entail. So experience marketing, we really think that the idea of sending tangible goods really creates a meaningful relationship. And it's very different from a lot of the noise that they see now. One of the tools that we add on the site, or we've added to the site, that I'll show you all in a second. Most companies, they have the addresses for their prospects, but it's their business addresses. And these days, most people are not at their business addresses at least every day. Most of them are home for the majority of the week. We send a gift email where the recipient can add their home address or the address where they want the item to be sent to. And we also don't charge if you're sending 100 items to 100 prospects. So you're sending a specific item to 100 prospects, but only 50 of them accept the gift or add in their address. We only charge the companies for the items that have been sent out, which is a little bit different from some of our competitors. We also have the ability to add automation. I'm going to show you guys this in a second because I think it's very cool. So let me jump into that before we go into questions. And Matthew, I'm going to rely on you to tell me that I'm going long or that I need to wrap it up. So if you could give me a 1 or 2 minute warning, that would be awesome. Simple SaaS platform, guys. We can onboard a company in about 30 minutes. We have integrations, as I mentioned, with Salesforce, HubSpot, SalesLoft, and Outreach. We're about a week away from launching Marketo. When you turn on these integrations with the different tools, it will automatically sync your contacts to the site. So you don't have to worry about adding contacts. If you use a different CRM, or if you have a spreadsheet of your contacts and your accounts, very simple process to import your file. We actually allow you to customize the mapping fields so that it lines up really nicely with the way that you've organized your spreadsheet. You can also add it individuals one at a time. So we have a marketplace, and within that marketplace, we have hundreds of different items. The marketplace is available to the admins at each company, at each of our clients. And then the admins at each of our clients can go in and determine what items should be able to be sent by their org. So we talked about gift cards. We have a whole slew of gift cards that can either be sent via electronic means, so via email, or you can send them as hard plastic gift cards. But we have a lot of cool things here that are targeted as well, right? So we have swag, so you can order swag here and then kind of store the swag in our warehouse. It's basically a virtual, we call it our marketing closet in the cloud. But you don't have to worry about going into your marketing closet, choosing the swag, putting it in a FedEx envelope, and then sending it out. We do all of that for you, and you can do that in a matter of seconds, to the point where the recipient can choose what size shirt they wear. But as I mentioned earlier, we also have a whole host of really unique items that have already been pre-bundled. And we're adding, in the next few weeks, we're adding the capabilities to actually put together customized bundles as well. So once your admin determines what items they want to allow the org to send, they become what we call postals. And Corey, you'll see we have DoorDash front and center of our postals here at Postal. So a couple thoughts here. You can send something out individually. I've got a gift email turned on. I can send a customized message. Look at that, it has spell check for people like me that don't know how to spell very well. Right, and then you can go here, you hit send postal, and it literally goes out in seconds. If you want to do the same thing and do it as a campaign, you can do that up to thousands of people. You can do the same process. Now we also have the ability to, we have saved messages, so you can save messages with different variables, so that as a if you're sending a campaign, it'll immediately or automatically put in the recipient's first name. And as the sender, it will automatically put your name there too. You can schedule those, or you can just send it now, totally up to you. Let me show you some of the cool pieces of reporting, of automation. We have the ability to put together, the equivalent of a drip campaign, except with tangible goods. So you can set up we call them playbooks, but you can set it up so that you determine when recipients that are in the specific playbook get each item. So you can say day 1, send a note card. Day 5, send a gift card. Day 7, send a customized bundle. But you can set those up and totally customize it based on your needs. Here's where it gets really cool. We have the ability to establish what we call triggers. I was just on a call with a partner of ours, and I was showing her how it works in HubSpot. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. In this case, I set it up so that there's a Starbucks digital card. And I put a little gift message that says thanks. But I've set up this trigger so it's active for HubSpot. When I go into HubSpot, I can go into the workflow automation. And again, I'm going to use one that I just set up for the sake of time. And basically what I've indicated here in HubSpot is that I want to send out this specific postal anytime a deal goes from prospect to close won. And so I've put that rule in place already within HubSpot. And with HubSpot, you can get super granular. You can do it based on size of the account, amount of employees, address. You can really get hyper focused. I'm going to go scroll down and find the postal icon, the postal integration that's been set up. And then I'm going to go find the trigger that I just set up. And now I save it. And when I turn on this workflow integration, or with this workflow, it will now automatically, anytime that a deal goes to close one, it's going to send this specific postal that I just set up. So really cool stuff. I'm going to delete that so I don't get yelled at by my team. The other piece of the other kind of cool piece of automation, and some of you have already seen this. Tara, my counterpart at Postal, put into the chat a little link for a Starbucks gift card. And if you guys haven't claimed that, by all means, go in there and claim that. But you can set up a, you can see how Tara set this up. I'm gonna change this, Tara, so it just says as gratitude. But so what we've done is we've set this up with a specific name, but we can cap the amount, the order limit. We can set an expiration date. And then, as you all who have already claimed this have seen, it takes you to a splash page where it has the note, and then you can add in your contact information, and then you can claim the gift card. Pretty cool stuff. In this case, because it's an e-card, we don't ask you for your address, but if this was something tangible good, we'd ask you for your address, and you'd be able to enter it in here, hit save, and then when you hit confirm here, that's when it would automatically get sent out. So that's the the mile high overview of the postal site. Yeah,
Ben,
I hope
I do have a
that was
question for you.
Yeah.
So I know you and I have spoke about a few things already. What does Postal have in store for 2021? Any new products coming out or anything like that?
We do. We've got some pretty cool stuff happening in 2021. Some that we haven't announced, some that we have. One of the things that we're working on now is adding a personalized and customizable section to the site. So we work with a lot of really cool vendors, small, medium, large vendors. But a lot of our vendors do some really cool customizable things that we haven't been able to really take advantage of just because of the way that the site works. But we're setting up the ability to work with a concierge on our team that can understand your use case as the client, what you're looking to accomplish, and then work with some vendors to get you some really good options to kind of meet those goals. Some of them can be done quickly, some of them will take a couple weeks, and some of them will take even longer. But it totally depends kind of on your customized needs. We'll be able to get you something that meets those requirements in a matter of days.
Cool. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat or just unmute yourself for a second. One question from the chat also for you, Ben. Do you have data on impact of using direct mail on cold leads to book meetings versus after the first meeting to keep them engaged?
Yeah, I don't have specific numbers because it totally differs depending on the way that the org is using kind of the tool and when kind of within the process they're using it. I can tell you that our team obviously we use a few different resources. We use Outreach, we use Postal, and when we add Postal on the kind of the top of the funnel, when we send tangible items, the numbers that you indicated, Matt, in your notes, we see an impact greater than that. We see an impact of 5 to 10%.
Yeah, we were conservative.
Totally. And when you're dealing in hundreds and thousands, 5 to 10% is a pretty big deal. So the impact that we see when I talk about 5 to 10%, that's typically we value the setting of a meeting, the ability to set a meeting. We see a 5 to 10% increase there. We also see in that range for the closing an account. So we kind of see it throughout the funnel and at different points in the funnel as well.
Cool. So I think that semi answers another question that just came up, which was from Susie. She said, so is this the new normal? Does sending out gifts in advance actually secure the client? I can take that. So,
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't call it the new normal. I'd say it's a creative approach to moving people down your pipeline. And it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to close the deal. But like Ben said, if your current close rate is 15% and doing this small initiative increases that to 16 or 20%, it could be a relatively cost-effective way to improve your sales close rate. So definitely not normal. I'd say it's a very creative approach to helping with your sales and marketing. But unfortunately, it does not guarantee anything like any sort of marketing.
Yeah, and I think Susie, something to add to that, again, we've tried a few different options, again, at the top of the funnel when we're talking about prospecting. And we've had the greatest success when we've sent out charitable cards, right? There's a difference between getting a $5 Starbucks card, which also works, by the way. We just sent that to you all. But there's a difference kind of in the personalization of receiving a $5 Starbucks card or a card that you can choose the charity of your choice. There's something a little more personal about that. And so if you're able at scale to add customization and personalization in a unique way, it makes a really big difference.
Cool. Well said. Any other questions from any of the guests here today?
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure if I thought I was doing a pretty good job of paying attention. So forgive me if you guys have covered this and answered this in any form or fashion. But I hear you talking about it from a service perspective, from a service call perspective. But what about from a product perspective of having that access to all of these partners? Let's per se you're doing a contest or a giveaway, anything like that. So are there any integrations you guys have with any like platforms that specializes in contest giveaways and things like that? Or what about using your platform for that?
Ben, is that something you can talk about?
Yeah, thanks, Donald. Yeah, absolutely. We don't have any current integrations. We're in the process of a Zapier integration, which can address some of those. It will allow you to make some of those integrations that you wouldn't be able to put together currently. But we see a lot of companies use our platform for those specific use cases. In fact, we were doing a contest recently where we used it internally to send out gift cards, and I think we used it for some electronics as well. So we see a lot of companies getting again really creative. The employee to employee sending, I was kind of encompassing things like that, Donald, in that kind of scope. But we see a lot of companies getting really creative about how they're using the site. Our product team recently used it for beta testing. So we sent out some emails for beta testers for specific functionality, and then we'd use the platform to send them $100 to a specific retailer, or in some cases, I think we sent out some AirPods.
Cool. Any other questions? And while we're waiting for that, just keep in mind, like Tara mentioned in the chat, one, definitely claim your Starbucks gift card. We again, thank you for joining us today. And two, Tara will send a link to a free 15-day trial of Postal. So it's another thing you can capture on their behalf. Any other questions from anyone?
And we've added some unique functionality, by the way, so that, I see Kiana's on the call. She can't claim the Starbucks gift card twice. You can only claim it once.
Cool.
No question, but I do have a comment.
Sure.
Just a nod to SmartSites. You guys have been doing some really creative and impressive things by bringing on different service providers. So I do appreciate that, because there've been quite a few platforms and things that I've been interested in and actually plan on utilizing thanks to you guys. So
awesome. We really appreciate it. And then thanks for coming to this and any other webinars you've been to. We plan to do more stuff just like this in the coming months with strategic partners like Postal. So we'll keep you informed of anything else that's coming up on the horizon. All right. I think that's it from everyone. So thanks so much for your time. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Thanks to Ben for this wonderful event. Thanks to Tara for putting together these really cool gifts for everyone that arrived today. And we'll shoot out an email probably tomorrow, the next day, with a copy of the recording, along with any of the claiming links if you hadn't got them already. So thanks again. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Bye.
Thanks, Matthew.